Number one, today we're going to take a look at how to set up the constraints and relationships to make an automata animate correctly. Now, the first thing I want to do is I'm going to take my axle. I want to make sure it's correctly connected to the box. Now, I'm going to use a revolute mate because I do want this to be able to animate. That revolute mate on the axle is going to be very important as we want the revolution to occur in the animation. So I'm going to come up to the revolute mate, and I'm going to select the end of the axle over here, and I'm also going to select the far side of the hole on the box. So I'm going to make sure I come over here and I select this hole. So as I pan around, I should see that it is inserted. Click the green check mark, and I'm going to exit my revolute mate. I want to go back to my home view. I'm going to make sure things spin when I rotate them. It looks like this is working correctly. I can't pull it out, so this is now the correct mate. The next thing I want to do is I want to put the followers into these holes. Now, in order to do that, I'm going to need them to slide up and down. So I'm going to use a slider mate. So I'm going to choose slide. I'm going to choose the edge of my follower. I'm going to move this over to the side so I can click on this port here. So I have it sliding into that hole. I'm going to go ahead and confirm, and I'm going to repeat that on the second follower. Go ahead and hit the X. I'll make sure my movement is correct. They should move up and down. Now, if yours comes above it, that's okay. As we add more constraints, it will no longer do that. So far, it looks like my motion is correct. So I have the axle inserted, and I have my two followers. What I don't have are my cams. Now, I have my cams at different angles here. I encourage you, as you insert the cams, to put them on different angles as well, just because it gives you a better animation. Now, the constraint I want to use for this is the fasten constraint. Remember, the fasten constraint is different from all of our other constraints in that when I attach it, it's no longer able to move at all. It's like gluing something into position. So I'm going to click the fasten constraint. I'm going to click on the axle. I'm going to click on the porthole right here for the axle on the cam, and I'm going to have a problem. Notice that if I go to my front view, this is not lined up with my follower. So if I fasten it here, then my follower will never actually reach the cam, and my automata won't work. So I need to adjust its position. Well, I can't just drag it back and forth. The fasten constraint doesn't let me do that, but I can set an offset. I want to see which direction we're talking about. Well, it looks like this is a Z direction. I can see the Z axis. So I'm going to go back to that front view because it gives me the best view to look at where that follower is. And I want to adjust my Z axis. Well, if I type in 4 and hit enter, I want to see the cam moves way out here on the offset. Well, I don't want it way over here. I want it to be a little bit closer. So I'm going to type in 1 and hit enter. And that lines it up perfectly. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it there, click the green check mark, and I want to repeat this by clicking the axle and then the axle hole on the cam. Now again, it's going to put it in that initial position. This isn't where I want it, so I'm going to click offset. Now I know this is 1 and this will be 0, so now I'm going to type in a negative number. I'm going to type in -3, hit enter, and that's too far. So let's change it to -2.5. And we'll hit enter. And it looks like my constraint is still a little bit off. Well, if I want to correct that, what I can do is I can double click on my fastener. I can come here, and instead of doing that -2.5, I'm going to do just -2. Now it's a little too far. We'll try to split the difference with -2.3, and that's right in the middle. And I'll go ahead and confirm that. Now, if I go to my isometric view and I rotate it, I see the cams will rotate with the axle, but my followers still aren't moving. That's because I haven't attached them to the edge yet. In order to do that, I'm going to come up to the tangent mate. I'll click tangent mate. I'm going to come back to that front view because I can see everything. I'm going to click the bottom of my follower, and I'm going to click the edge of the cam in the green check mark. I'm going to add another tangent mate, click the bottom of the follower, and the edge of the cam, and the green check mark. And I'll go back to my home view. I want to test to make sure this animates correctly, so I'm going to right-click on the revolute mate, hit animate. I'll do it as a loop to make sure it animates correctly, and then I'll click play. What I should see is as the cam goes up, the follower will go up. And so because of the different angled cams, my followers will go up at different times, which again helps me see exactly how this process should work.